to the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Miller. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And today I want to talk about the shadows that secrets cast on our lives and how liberating it is to recover out loud. And I want to talk a little bit about those illnesses that are inside of us. So for the longest time, I did not talk about my feelings. That's probably surprising, seeing that I seem to have a never-ending list of things to talk about. But imagine I didn't talk about anything. And this was not too long ago. Like me 10 years ago, I was not sharing anything about really the deepest stuff that was going on inside of me. I guess I was a good actress. I was happy. It wasn't that I wasn't unhappy, but I had a lot going on. I had a lot that was building up. And 7.5 years ago, it came to a peak, and that was my lowest of lows in my alcoholism. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what that process was like for me, I think, and who I am able to find comfort in, how that developed, that I've been able to start talking more. And now, clearly, I I just talk about whatever I want to the internet as a whole. So what happened with me? So for the longest time, I didn't talk, and it began really. I remember when I was young, I didn't hide anything. I didn't think so. But over time, it seems like the more disturbed or the sadder I got, the less I would talk about it. And so it was like small omissions. And as I got older, those grew, I guess. And when it came to alcoholism, I started kind of omitting really about how much I drank. And it just snowballed into when people started noticing how much I drank. I had to play a bigger role in hiding it. And so it just became concealing things, physically and mentally and emotionally and everything, and concealing my innermost thoughts. Not sharing turned into not being honest. Hiding morphed into lying. And this journey of holding back was not only lonely and more isolating, but extremely unhealthy. I think that the more that I was keeping things inside, that dark place that I talk about was just growing and growing and growing, and it was just consuming me. Everything that was negative inside of me that I was hiding just got worse. My drinking got worse. My loneliness got worse. My lying got worse. Everything. And the worse it got, the more I'd cover it up. But sharing these illnesses that live deep inside of me has been a gradual process. First, I had to take the alcohol away, period. I had to take away the thing that I was self-medicating with. I had to take away the thing that I felt was helping me because it was actually hurting me. I couldn't address the problems until I let the problems rise to the surface. And that was terribly painful emotionally. Um, but it was the only way. And I more and more was able to start sharing because of the empathy and understanding that I started to receive from people who walked a similar path to mine. And that path was in sobriety. That's where it started out. Um, I had gone to therapists, and I just wouldn't be totally honest with therapists either. I really could only be honest with people who had a problem just like me, who have dealt exactly with the feelings that I had dealt with. That was the the door, you know. The sense of relief I found with my sober fellowship was where the door cracked open first. Um, and when it cracked open, every time I shared in those rooms in West Virginia in my sobriety meetings, I cried every time, every time. And today I go to sobriety meetings, and having a few 24 hours under my belt, I hear people who are new and they come in, same thing. They cry every time they open their mouth, they cry. And they feel kind of embarrassed about that. And I remember feeling embarrassed about it. But it's just that there's so much pain inside. Um, and we're so used to being able to cover it up with alcohol, being able to put a mask on and show people what we want to show them. But when we go into these rooms of sobriety or any sort of recovery support group, it's where we allow that pain to rise to the surface and we talk about it. And that's the only way to get rid of it. Like you can't I'm trying to think of an analogy. I'm not good at thinking of analogies like on the spot, but it's like when you have, I don't know, a a a bag of baseballs, let's say. You have a bag of baseballs. I can't just get rid of, like, I can't just move them around inside the bag and expect them to go away. I can't stand on the bag. I can't, you know, I can't do anything. I have to pull each baseball out of the bag one at a time. That's the only way I can get them out. And it's the same thing with my pain inside. I have to take each thing and I've got to take it out and I've got to look at it. You know, I've got to do something about it. I've got to take each thing out one by one. And every time I shared in a sobriety meeting, it was like I was taking one piece of that pain and looking at it and talking about it and clearing it out of my dark place. And so, how that progressed over the past 7.5 years, and how that has gotten easier and easier, slowly and very slowly. It's the very reason that I go to my 7 a.m. sobriety meeting every day. It's a place where I can unpack my thoughts as they come on a day-to-day basis rather than letting them fester and warp over time, even if they're just left a couple days to marinate inside of me. It's extremely unhealthy for me and could put my sobriety at risk. So I show up every single morning because I want to say, okay, good morning, Rachel. What's going on inside of you today? What things that you aren't fully aware of are floating around in that crazy head of yours? And things will come up. Whatever the topic is, of the day in the meeting will no doubt undoubtedly bring up some memory, some experience that I want to talk about, I want to share about, I want to get out of me. And some days, yeah, some days I'll go and I don't have anything to share. But on those days, I still like to say, I'm Rachel and I'm an alcoholic. Because if nothing else, every morning I need to be reminded thoroughly that I am an alcoholic. I have a disease, a fatal disease, and it could kill me if I don't pay attention to it and take care of myself. So I wake up every morning and go to the meeting because it works for me. It has worked so far, and so I'm going to keep coming back to that. Have you ever noticed how your self-talk can transform inside of you when it's left unvoiced? I notice it all the time. Something just slightly upsetting to me can become very disruptive in my life if I don't share it openly with others. And discussing mental health with those who haven't lived in this type of, like with this type of illness, um, in the past has left me feeling shameful and exposed and misunderstood and frustrated. But if I keep it inside of me, my it perpetuates my isolation and the pain just grows more. You know, it just continues to grow. So I have to find people that I trust, people that I'm comfortable talking to, people who know how to respond to me. And I I've found comfort in talking in my sobriety program, but as a stroke survivor, I recognized that I needed to build the same sort of network. And so I have begun to find some great stroke survivor support groups, and they allow me to share my unique hurdles of my post-stroke experiences. I've also learned to be more open to my family members throughout my recovery. I've always felt like I had a really good relationship with my family members, but I did definitely hold back with all of them because, well, they're not alcoholics, you know, they don't suffer from mental illness um, that I'm aware of. So by talking about it, you know, I always felt so unique. Like I was the only one thinking the things I thought and that no one else would understand me. And that's just not the case. I created that isolation um, because of experiences in my life where maybe somebody didn't understand, or maybe somebody didn't give me the response that was comforting to me. So the more that I received a lack of empathy, the more I isolated, the more I felt unique, and that's not good. I don't want to feel unique. Um, so this is why I've chosen to recover out loud. And I want to be able to have someone hear their own story in mine so that if they don't quite have the courage, like I didn't, to seek help or talk about how they feel, um, the ability for them to relate to me and my stories happens much more effortlessly. They don't have to seek so hard. If I'm able to put my story out there, it may resonate with somebody who doesn't have to try so hard, like I did, to find help when I don't even know where I'm looking, when I don't even know that somebody's going to understand. Um, so I am also very blessed with some amazing friends and a sponsor who offer unwavering support. Sometimes I think about how this happened, that I have this kind of support, that I have these kinds of friends. And I realize it's really the folks that I have been authentic with who want to be my friend and want to listen to me when I talk. For so long, I have had friends that I love them dearly, so I don't want to say anything negative at all, but we probably didn't pride ourselves in how we were able to give each other advice. Um, and that's okay. It's all about being young and I almost sang the song Young and Dumb and something broke, young, dumb and broke, I think. Anyway, um I I just feel like the friends that I have right now are friends that truly are like holding me up right now. I really do. I feel like these friends just want to give me strength when I don't have the strength. I talked about, I think it was last week when I had a couple days that I was like, I just can't. I just don't have, something's not right. I'm not feeling happy and I just did what's automatic now. Maybe it's not automatic. I have to try. But I picked up the phone and I heard exactly what I needed to hear. And it's just amazing. And I'm really so grateful for that. That whatever has happened, however it happened that I have these friends, I'm really grateful that I do. And these people have seen me at my absolute rawest and have offered the words that I needed, like perfect responses. I don't know that I've ever been like the perfect responder, but I don't know. I have a lot of people that come to me for advice too, so maybe I'm okay at it. But serving as a sponsor myself, I aim to extend the same kind of support, and it allows me to give back and to be the support for others that was so freely given to me. So today, I just want to acknowledge the weight that secrets have on our lives and the healing power of cleaning out your dark place, of just talking. By sharing our stories with each other, we break down the walls of isolation and build bridges with something stronger. Um, with vulnerability, I think. You honestly never know when you're sharing with vulnerability with someone else that you're actually inviting them to do the same if they need you in the future. So, although it feels sometimes like, oh, I'm sorry to be unloading on you. Sorry, I'm just venting. Well, that process or that experience with that person isn't just for you. It also is showing them that you're willing to talk about this vulnerable stuff with them, that means that they the door is open for them to talk about that same kind of vulnerable stuff with you. That's how I see it. And with me, it happens all the time. I've talked about this with my boss in the past. Um, how I, when I would have new staff members come into my team, I would have a whole meeting with all of them, and I would share not just the purpose of the meeting was not just to share this, but in a meeting with my whole staff, I would tell them that I'm a recovering alcoholic. And I had a reason for telling them that. It was because I wanted them to understand that I'm willing to be that kind of mentor with them. I'm willing to be that kind of boss. Like, what we have is like a family, and we are like sisters. I just happen to have all women in my group, but I wasn't trying to just hire all women. I did have a man once, but it felt like we were sisters. It really did. And I know that they felt the same way because they would be vulnerable with me. It never failed when I would share this kind of thing about me with my staff. Later, some of them individually would come and talk to me about things going on in their lives that they never would have told me otherwise. And I love that. I love being able to be that kind of a people leader, I think, to be there both professionally and personally for people. I have only been burned one time by being vulnerable with someone first, and they ended up using it against me. But that person was very sick as well. And that's what I tell myself. Instead of getting mad, I just say, you know what? She was very sick. So telling your story out loud has the power to heal you, to connect with others like you, and inspire others to tell their story to you. So, thank you for joining me on this episode about honesty and vulnerability and ending isolation. I will talk to you tomorrow.